Some call it luck. Others call it destiny. But what if synchronicity is really about how we engage with the flow of time? What if these moments of alignment are nudging us toward a greater awareness? The question is, are we paying attention? And if so, how can we use what we notice to consciously shape our path? As we move closer to the golden intersection of timelines, synchronicities are amplifying, revealing the hidden architecture of time itself. How do we recognize and engage with these signals? How do we move beyond coincidence into the realization that time flows through us, not just around us? Welcome to Synchronicity and the Flow of Time, making the unconscious conscious.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.
Lakesh, and welcome to the Galactic Spin podcast. My name is Mikuak Rai, Kin 126, joined as ever and always by my dear brother Ruben Llinás, Kin 113, and Lakesh. Ruben, how you feeling, man?
In Lakesh, brother, in Lakesh, to everyone tuning in to tonight's episode 21. It's such an honor to share with you this fantastic episode. This is the 8th position on the Fibonacci spiral, is number 21. So today we are in the 8th moon. So there's a lot of resonance in the field. So I'm feeling much better, more energized, and with all the synchronicities that are taking place, feeling the acceleration towards the golden intersection. So tonight's show is going to be certainly an amazing opportunity. Today is an amazing date also to dive into this subject and to go up that rainbow hole, that spiral. That is bringing us closer and closer to harmony. Every day we are closer to this golden number, and as we move towards that number, and the markers that we are tracking move towards that number, well, we certainly feel some some feedback in the field from the harmony and from the coherence in the field.
Yes, like we've titled tonight's episode, Synchronicity and the Flow of Time. And so I think with the synchronizations that we're witnessing in real time, it's really quite dramatic and ecstatic all at the same time, I would just say, because it is a
Yes.
profound emergence happening. And so, indeed, to be able to make it to this episode 21 and to witness even in today's episode as we get a chance to reveal some of these layers of synchronicity as we make this passage to the golden intersection of timelines, it's quite a phenomenal experience, actually. So I'm really grateful for everyone who has been tuning in and will continue to tune in as we continue to raise awareness and grow the awareness around this knowledge and information. And I'm not sure maybe when it's the appropriate time to posit this, but we've been very careful about sharing the facts around the dates. And just to bring this to people's attention with love and care, we know that awareness of this event has been shared recently on a wonderful podcast, Yosoi Network, with the great teacher and traveler Matias De Stefano and our dear friend
Yes.
Lupita Salcido, who leads the Padre Sabio group, with whom Ruben is closely related and associated, and for whom we give great thanks. We wanted to
Yes.
put some facts on the record, though, just to share to, in a way, correct some information that was shared on a recent interview that they had, just to ensure that it was said, because we're the stewards and we're the ones responsible for this information actually arriving intact with the people. And we'll get into tonight as well how we've even arrived at these calculations. That's what I think is really important about tonight's episode, it being the 21st, that being the number of the Hunab Ku, which in the spiritual tradition of the spiritual Maya, that representing the giver of movement and measure. And so we do acknowledge the sacredness of this ongoing ceremony that started on October 7th and brings us to today, February 24th in the year 2025. So it's quite a very a powerful moment, I would say. But just to bring some clarity, the dates for the golden intersection of timelines specifically are October 14th and 15th, 2025. And what you see on the screen now is, as of today in this broadcast on February 24th, 2025, we are literally 232 days to the date October 14th, 2025, which is the first of the two marker dates, October 14th and 15th, 2025. We wanted to make sure to correct that because the transmission shared that the dates were the 15th and 16th. And that may seem somewhat insignificant of a difference, but this is calculations and these are very precise measurements. So we wanted to just ensure that we reported that and recorded that on the record for those who are going to be learning more about this information in the months ahead, because this is a growing wave of information. And we're excited today to be able to share the significance of those two dates in particular, so that everyone tuning in can really feel oriented to what is before us, what the ceremonial invitation has really intended from the beginning, and the beginning being actually many years ago. I want to say going as far back as 2018, if I'm not mistaken. There was a point at which I think some calibrations and an awareness of this knowledge and this intersection of timelines began to become conscious. And maybe, Ruben, you can elaborate more on that over the course of this evening, too.
Yes, of course. And in the course of next episode that we are going to have actually on Kin 239, which was the day to exact Tzolk'in date, the blue overtone storm, Kin 239, when this was revealed, because what is important also to acknowledge is that this information is a time release program that is unpacking as it unfolds. It's like when we download like a software, and the software takes some time to download, and then when it unpacks, it executes. So in a similar way, when we arrive to certain thresholds and we fill holographic time containers of specific measure of time, we arrive to a different fractal, or we transcend to the next stage of the game. So today is actually one of those markers. Today is 443 days from the Papal Bull Intergravissimas, the signing of that Papal Bull that enacted the Gregorian calendar into law.
443 years.
Years.
Yeah, years specifically, yeah.
Sorry. I don't know if I said days. Yes, years. And today we are going to explore a little bit more about the error in time, because it's an illusion that today is the golden number in days since the Gregorian reform, because we were not calculating the 10 days that were subtracted from the Julian count, and that are contained within October 4th and October 15th. So we will explain deeper this on the next episode. But yes, this
it's an interesting glitch of sorts, right?
Yes,
in the ripple, and what just in short, when we recognized that the calculations were off, it was really due to recognizing that the actual AI, for whatever reason, neglected that factor,
yes.
in its calculation. So we'll dive deeper on that, but just suffice it to say that it's interesting because it's a repetition of cycles too. So just as there were glitches in the past, there's an interesting glitchy layer in this process of emergence in terms of various layers of technology and intelligence, we could say. So
yes, and actually this glitch has different names. One is the error in time, and today we are going deep into what was that error in time, what are the expressions or the multiple layers of that error in time, and how can we correct it, because it's like those 10 days that were subtracted with that Papal Bull in the year of October 1582, they are still lingering in our mind. So they're hard to reconcile, and we will explain that deeper today.
All right, well, let's get into it. Thank you for tuning in. All right, here we go. So as we have been tracking since January 10th, we've been recognizing this window referred to as the planetary parade, the planetary alignment currently arcing almost as a rainbow in the night sky. And we're able to see it beautifully here over Los Angeles. I'm sure people around the world are experiencing it themselves. And what's interesting is it's a very powerful energy coming through right now. I'd love to think that other people are also experiencing some powerful transformative energies and experiences, alignments, opportunities to heal. Things that have been sort of kept hidden are now being compelled to come out for recognition, for healing, for repair. There's a lot of things as we have identified this window on several episodes past as this sort of 49-day Bardo passage of sorts in the transition and the rebirth cycle for a layer of our planetary consciousness. There's a new consciousness emerging, and that's what we've really identified with this golden intersection. And we noted also that on January 25th, just about a month ago, we were at the peak of the first aspect of this planetary parade and planetary alignment, and that marked essentially a 260-day cycle to the golden intersection from that point. So as we've entered this first phase, what I'm feeling into is really a hologram of sorts. We'd identified that as well as 260-day window, this last Zolkin count leading up to Kin 204. In the next Kin 204 in its expression, we're in the first phase of that, and my goodness,
Yes,
so much has been going on.
It's
been
it's
intense.
accelerating.
It is accelerating. Speak on that.
Yes. Yeah, and also important to acknowledge that this parade is reaching like a sort of climax on the 20th day of this Gregorian year, and of this February month of this Gregorian year, and a seventh planet is joining the parade, which is Mercury, which is the messenger. We are right now doing the wave of communication, so this is really a good sign of things to come when these archetypal energies are witnessing what is taking place on Earth, and we are connecting with them at night. Everyone who has eyes to see and a heart to really appreciate the beauty of our place in the cosmos certainly can use those moments of contemplation of these seventh bright planets as part of a tapestry that is weaving us, that is part of a larger cosmic play that is unfolding, and that sometimes, because we are so focused just on the drama that is playing on Earth, we forget to look up to the skies and really appreciate what is taking place, and the grandiosity of the times that we are living. Really, this is prophetic. Everything that happened in the last week has been absolutely prophetic. We will go deep, and having these windows of 49 days is 7 cycles of 7 days each, to end with 7 planets. So there's a magic of the numbers always enshrining these moments.
7 times 7, 49 days to this passage, this Bardo window that concludes on February 28th with the inclusion of Mercury joining the party. And what's interesting is as those 7 planets gather, we also are recognizing the power of our local star, the sun, the grand orchestrator, the conductor, we might say in some ways, of this experience, this even rhythmic symphony, we might go as far as to say, what we're seeing in the celestial bodies and how they're showing up. So let's talk a little bit about what we see on the screen here with the unleashed powerful X-flare, X-class solar flare, that is, earlier today.
Yes, this was in the early hours of today. The report on spaceweather.com was actually mentioning that it was on February 24th, but I think that they did a small mistake because they said Sunday, February 24th, but Sunday, if it's Sundays, it was February 23rd. But the importance of this is that the sun has also like a sunspot number, which is this number AR4001. That means that the sun just entered like a new batch of its own sunspot cycle. It just reached the 4,000 sunspot count, and we are right now in sunspot 4001, which unleashed this X-flare. For those people who are new, we already said that there are different classes of solar flares, which is solar radiation. Sometimes they are the byproduct of a coronal mass ejection, sometimes not. It's just the radiation, like a little bit of a short circuit or a pulse in the sun that emits radiation. And it can be a C flare, M flare, or an X flare. And when each of those categories expands by the power of 10, so an X flare is 10 times more powerful than an M flare, so to speak. And as we can see on the link, it is already triggering radio blockouts, because that's what happens when the sun enters that range of the X flares. That is a powerful radiation that may knock out electromagnetic devices and grids. So since we are also electromagnetic beings, of course, it's affecting our moods, our brains, our emotions, our biology. So this is a time to drink a lot of water, to take it easy, because the energy is amplified right now, and it's accelerating. So it's really important just to acknowledge these waves of energy that are incoming, and become like lighting rods for them, so that they can really help our evolution instead of creating more friction.
Indeed, indeed. Well, as we navigate this time, as you mentioned, there's a lot of dynamic and almost prophetic things occurring. So,
Yes.
let's talk about this a little bit. This has been at the headlines for the past several
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, today while we were preparing the show, we were noticing major synchronicities with what is going on with the Pope, his health crisis, and looking for the exact dates of this timeline of this crisis. We noticed that it was precisely in the next slide. We can see that it was on the first day of this wave spell of I think it's in the other slide probably yeah,
Okay,
it was on the in the next slide. This in the next slide after this one, because this is triggering also. Yeah, this is the one, the health crisis. He was hospitalized in Rome with bronchitis on February 14th, which happens to coincide with the start of the 13-day cycle that we are currently transiting, the wave spell of the wind, 13-day cycle that is all about the spirit and the breath of that spirit. You know? So it is certainly prophetic that this health crisis with his respiratory system is taking place during this wave spell, because as we mentioned during our last episode, this is the same signature of the man or the human being that left one of the important prophecies of Mesoamerica, called the prophecy of the 13 heavens and 9 hells of the prophet Seacatl Topilzin-Quetzalcoatl, that was recorded and presented to the world in the book Lord of the Dawn, written and published in 1971. So the synchronicities are staggering, because as we can see on the prior slide, that what probably I mixed the two, this health crisis is bringing into the conversation what could happen if the Pope has an episode, or a critical episode, no? Because the respiratory crisis is now becoming a systemic crisis, because I think I read that he's I think his renal glands are, he's having a renal a kidney failure. So of course this is a very delicate situation, especially because there is the resemblance of fact meeting fiction. Right now there is a movie called Conclave that is precisely about that theme, and it has 8 Academy Awards nominations, and this is going to happen, I think it's March 2nd, so it's around these same dates that this movie is going to be on the spotlight. So that's certainly a pattern to observe, and something that we have to consider, because there are prophecies like the prophecy of Saint Malachi that is connected to this Pope, that speaks about 113 popes, and that the current Pope is Pope 112. Others believe that that this prophecy was not was forged, and that is not real. But of course, there is an amplification in the field, because if we go exactly around this same time of the year, 12 years ago, on February 11th, like around those same days of February, we had this event at the Vatican. A lightning bolt strikes the Vatican St. Peter's Basilica. And this happened after Pope Benedict XVI announced his surprise resignation on the day before. So this is certainly another important event, because for those of us who were part of the ceremonies of the closing of the cycle and who were tracking the closing of the 13th Baktun, the fact that this event took place exactly 52 days from the closing of the cycle, or the shift of the ages, it was a very telling sign, like an omen of things to come for the Catholic Church after the closing of the cycle. This was the first time that a pope resigned in modern history. It was amidst many scandals, including the abuse of children. So this is no light stuff, but it's important to recognize the patterns more than the stories or the drama unfolding on Earth. Is more about the patterns that we may see this thunder maybe as a foreshock of something that is happening now, because it's around this same time of the year. Let's remember that Pope Francis, this current Pope that is now in a health crisis, was signaled as Pope on March 13, 2013, on the 13th day of the month of March of 2013. And these are important dates also within the Gregorian calendar. The stepping down of Ben Ratzinger with this event taking place, and then his retirement, his last day in office was February 28th, the only month of the Gregorian calendar that has 28 days. And what was, as we will see, it was recognized as the intercalary month. This was before the Gregorian reform and before the Julian reform. The month of February was like an intercalary month. So it was instead of adding one leap day every 4 years, they will add one leap month or an intercalary month every 4 years, in which the 5 days that were accumulated from after, like the Roman calendar was 12 months of 30 days, that adds to 360 days. So those 5 days that were remaining, they were reconciled at the end of a 4-year period. So that was part of the Julian reform in the year 45 or 46 BC, known as the Year of Confusion. So what we are seeing right now is just ripples, and we will see how, in the next slide, how these events are really connected to a program, which is the Gregorian calendar, and the Papal Bull is the script of that program. That Papal Bull was signed on February 24th, 1582, Julian calendar. There was no February 24, 1582 on the Gregorian. It's just that the year 1582 is the starting year of the Gregorian calendar, but October 15. So it was actually during the time of the revelation of the Golden Intersection that we did these slides to show the two important milestones within the current setup of the harmonic standard that is in place that is not harmonic, which is the Gregorian calendar. So this is the tool that we are using worldwide to conduct business, basically. Although it's a calendar that comes from a papal bull, the papal bull Inter Gravissimas, signed on February 24th, 1582, Julian. So that day marks the phase one, which is when it was crafted, the bull. And the summary is that in the mid-1570s was discovered that the Julian calendar was actually 10 days behind the seasons of the year. This was probably because by that time, the Vatican already had knowledge of more advanced civilizations that were using more advanced tools like the Maya. Many of the codices were already at the Vatican by that time. After 1492 is when Columbus arrived, and then 1519 is when Cortez arrived to Mexico, to the coast of Veracruz. So basically, what we are dealing is that we are carrying a karmic imprint of that memory loss on, and this papal bull, this is a daughter of another papal bull called the Doctrine of Discovery. This papal bull, the name in Latin I think is Terra Nullis. It was defined as null, the ownership of the land by anyone who was not Catholic or was not part of the Christian tradition. So it allowed the settlers to come in and claim those lands in the name of the church and the kings of the monarchs of Europe.
I think it's interesting how then Terra, you say Terra, what was it?
Nullis.
Nullis, to nullify, right? Terra nullis. It almost sounds like nullify the earth in a way.
Yes.
But that day also carries, if we retrospect, its galactic signature, as we can see, it's the planetary Earth Day.
Yes.
So that's an interesting, balance of sorts in that marker day, that on a day like this, in 1582, this was the energy.
Yes.
Today.
Yes. This
443 years ago today, just to put that in perspective for folks.
Yes. And let's keep in mind that time is fractal. So we are going to see these markers several times. And most of the important calendrical changes took place within that this current Green Castle of Enchantment, the last cycle of 52 days of the Solkin matrix. And this is basically the last harmonic of the Solkin is kin to 57 to kin to 60 are the last 4 days of the matrix. So the fact that it's a planetary Earth day is also very symbolic, and it's part of a larger narrative, multidimensional narrative. There's many layers of resonance, like to bring back the element of the seventh art, which is cinema. The movie The Matrix was the main role is played by Keanu Reeves, who is kin to 57. So Keanu Reeves is actually the prophet that comes to redeem the artificial matrix of them, or neutralize the machine. And basically, that's a little bit the same storyline that we are dealing here. The Gregorian calendars is the macro program that is behind the micro program called the mechanical clock. So we divide days into milliseconds, nanoseconds, milliseconds, seconds, minutes, hours, and we have actually 1,440 minutes in a day, which is also like a part of a sacred measurement, but it's all mechanical. It's based on a distortion of time. And what we are doing today is bringing a lot of those layers to the surface again to re-examine against the light of what is transpiring today on Earth, which is the situation right now of emergency on the planet and the situation of emergency in the Catholic Church. And this is the phase 2, which is the implementation. Is October. We can see in the right the Gregorian month of October of 1582. It starts on a Monday, October the 1st, and then instead of having Friday, October the 5th, we have a jump to October 15. That's why the golden intersection of timelines of October 15 is such an important moment to make all this conscious, because it's a harmonic portal. Is the golden ratio number in days, expressed in days, that it seems to be pointing to this moment as an opportunity to make conscious and redeem, reconcile, and the accounting of all these 10, not only the 10 days that were lost, but the wrong conception of time. We have been used to perceive time through a wrong set of filters, and that has distorted our ability as humans to perceive the fabric of time in its beauty and harmony. So as we make this conscious, these events conscious, some of those aspects are kind of coming back online, because this is part of the cosmic Alzheimer that we are living right now on Earth, that doesn't allow us to really find our place in creation, our place in space, and our place in time. In the evolutionary moment that is living the planet, with the emergence of artificial intelligence and with so much upheaval around the world. So since the calendar is a program, and this is the day that started the program, it is also very important to acknowledge that on the Dreamspell count, this event took place on Kin 239 Doc, which is precisely 2 days ago. The 22nd of February of this month was Kin 230 White Solar Dog. So basically, as we will see in the graphics on next section, we have the Papal Bull today synchronizing with the start of that Papal Bull 2 days ago. That's how the synchronic order starts to weave events so that we can perceive the importance of the windows that we are transiting. So within this 13-day cycle of spirit, we, as we mentioned, we're having the opportunity to free ourselves one more time and one more layer of the distortions that we have been programmed with. And Jose actually coined those distortions as layers of the Tower of Babel, which is the Tower of Confusion. So we said that there is Babel 1, which is the stem of what we call the error in time, is the Babylonian division of space and time. So Babylon is the start of dividing time in 12 instead of 13 is this division of the circle in 12 segments, and following that movement in space, trap time in matter. So what we are doing is really reconnecting with the spiral nature of time, and And if we use the word timelines, is because we are still used to a flat understanding of time. But these timelines are spirals that are really traveling to the fourth dimension and weaving us as we live our daily lives, and these frequencies are just informing us. Time informs biology.
In form, it's in the
form.
language. It's in form, so it's weaving us into form, and all through all that information. And then when we look at
Yes.
our DNA, that's its responsibility, is to storehouse this information and pass it along, weave it along through the threads of life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what Jose was making emphasis that the prolonged use of this calendar affected our collective DNA, and there had to be a group of humanity that will do a conscious take conscious action to recalibrate our DNA to 1320 frequency, which is the original timing frequency, the natural timing frequency that permeates all creation. So that happened since the year 1997 to the year 2013. There was an ongoing process of repatterning that was based in meditations and practices and exercises that are allowing us now to have this comprehension of time. So as I think we mentioned on episode 2 or 3, we went through also to the roots of the 13 Backtune map, and we defined the 3 stages of Babel. One is this division of time in 12. The second is the institution of the Julian calendar, that's Babel 2. So the distortion was covered with a little bit more of distortion and the year of confusion. And then there comes the Gregorian reform in 1582 that adds the third layer. So we have Babel 1, Babel 2, and Babel 3. And those 3 layers of the Tower of Babel is what covered the beauty of the number 13, the power of the number 13, which is the 13, in this case, is the representation of the 13, the entrance into the 13 Backtune in the year 1618, a measure of the Golden ratio. And that Backtune 13, started in the year 1618 and ended in the year 2012, those 144,000 days. So that the power of that number and the importance of that cycle from 1618 to 2012 is the cycle of the mechanization of time. Is when the Industrial Revolution takes over and the clocks takes over and the machine starts to accelerate. So after 2012, what we are is in the on the other side of that threshold of 2012 that was uncovering all of this, because the prophecy of the telecton and the different revelations of the law of time took place on the last Katun of the 260 Katun cycle, or the 13 Backtune cycle. The last 20 years of those 13 periods of 144,000 days is when all of this was uncovered. So what we are doing right now is just recapping so that we can make conscious the unconscious, and as we move forward and we witness whatever happens on Earth, we have these reference points to really get the larger picture.
Mm-hmm. And today in particular is one of those echoes across the timelines, which is why we're putting so much emphasis on this. And as we can see in this slide, across the thread that's been woven, the thread of time, according to the Gregorian calendar at least, on the February 24th marker for the past century, there have been significant events shaping up that have affected the whole, the collective, the planetary consciousness. And as we can see here, maybe you want to articulate what's with the 1920 event, February 24th. Is that the formation of the founding of the
let's of the Nazi Party.
yeah.
Let's remember that the Gregorian calendar is a program. So like I mentioned at the beginning, the script tends to repeat itself in many ways. So it may differ a little bit, but then you see layers of resonance with different events, like the Nazi Party being founded.
Right.
Especially becoming present now, because everything that we have been seeing in the news, everything, Germany just went through elections, and they were a little afraid that this wave was going to take again some steam. But it was not only the creation of the Nazi Party, it was also later, 22 years later, on that same day, was an event called the Battle of Los Angeles, where you are, that was supposed to be an attack from Japan, but that it remains a mystery what happened. But it's still, you can still find some of the newspapers from that day, and it was real. At least it was presented as something, as a battle taking place in the city of Los Angeles.
I just wanted to point out that 105 years, though, since the founding of the Nazi Party to today, that 105 is a very key interval as well, because when you calculate your galactic signature for any given year, you always add 105. So there's always 105 interval. So that just tells me, fractally speaking, that there's a particular interval happening now, being that this is 105 years specifically since the founding. And this is the founding day, in fact. And so, again, the layers of significance to February 24th of all days across the canvas of time is remarkable. And fortunately, we arrived to, and maybe we want to look at what was happening just 3 years ago, though something of great significance occurs in 1987 on this date. So we just want to display the significance.
The most recent display of what happened is the start of the conflict in Central Europe, in Ukraine, on February 24th, 2022. So this is only 3 years ago, and we are still seeing today's the ripples, and how this, fortunately, now seems that it's coming to a close, because the time is up, really, for all the games and all the tricks to end. And war is a racket. We know all of that. So if we keep using a program to measure time that is imbued with war, is programming us to be at war with our bodies, with ourselves, with logic, with the cycles of the moon, because it's disharmonic. So it creates chaotic energies, creates friction. So, of course, what is going to produce over time is more of that friction around the same points in time, when the program plays that same song, so to speak. This is why this is no coincidence that today is connected with these events that are in resonance with a narrative that is based in war. While fortunately, in the year 1987, also came an event called the Supernova 1987A, that Jose nicknamed Quetzalcoatl as a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, because it was this first explosion of a huge star that was recorded by modern instruments, and that, if I'm not mistaken, it could be actually seen with the naked eye at some point. So the impact of this explosion is affecting our DNA, is affecting the way we think, the way we feel, the way we experience reality, because it's like new light arriving to the earth, light that exploded light years ago, but that's still traveling through space and time, and is reaching our eyes and our minds to be registered. And this explosion took place, I think we did today the accounting 405 years after the Gregorian reform, on that same 224, February 24th, was discovered by an astronomical observatory. And since then, the harmonic convergence took place, the fall of the Berlin Wall, all these events that were basically showing a shift in consciousness were defined in the timeline by this event, by this explosion. And even NASA, as we see in the next slide, it recognized that it was the dawn of a new era of observation, because it was the first time that these type of explosions were recorded. So this is an article from 8 years ago. Today we're celebrating 38 years. It's important also to acknowledge that 38 years is 2 cycles of 19 years each, and 19 years is 1 cycle of the moon, called the metonic cycle. Is the moment when the moon comes to the same position in the sky on the same date on the calendar. So it completes, I think, it's 235 full moons in comprising 1 metonic cycle, which is equal to 19 years. So that means that today is in resonance with that cycle of natural time. This is 2 cycles of 19 years, adding to 38 from that moment of awe and discovery. And if you want to introduce us to this clip, which is a zoom in into the supernova.
Well, it's happening, and more cinema style here. We just want to share this with folks. This is actually captured from NASA. This is on their website, on their YouTube channel rather, but it just shows us the impact of this phenomenal explosion. And I have to say also, Ishel and I combined to make 142, which is the kin number of that day in 1987 when this explosion was first identified by human consciousness and through this technology. I want to run that back one more time because it's actually quite elegant, just to appreciate
it's a composite of many images from the Hubble telescope.
But just imagine, as brilliant as that looks in that moment, just the array of the sky. I mean, the power of it, to be in that particular direction of the sky and go all the way in. It's just amazing. So we love this.
Yes.
And it can't be underestimated, the impact that this event, as you said, across the fabric of time and space, the ripple effect and the echo of this and how it's reverberating within us now. It's resonating within us. And it's the actual reason for the time release galactic information. A lot of what we're now recovering in terms of our awareness and the evolutionary sort of trajectory in the codes are available as a result of the impact of the release of this energy, this galactic cosmic energy. And again, that it happened along a particular timing of day, according to our solar year, that was the same day, as we said, in which 405 years previous, you know, the Integravissimus was released, was decided, you know, that this is all about course correction. Now, something of this magnitude is required to course correct, I think, the track that Earth as a consciousness is on. So we've been super blessed to have that influence and effect. And it's going to still be felt for generations to come, decades, centuries even. We just happen to be here at the moment in time, space, and consequence where we've witnessed this in our lifetimes. And that's a profound thing. And it's on a similar level as this golden intersection moment, because that's the evidence of the weaving of this thread, as you're mentioning. So just phenomenal.
Yes, and the fact that, well, today we are basically filling that container, at least in the Gregorian calendar, the date is a match for the February 24th of 1582, though it was a Julian calendar. So there is actually today a 13-day difference between the Julian calendar that is still used by some Orthodox churches in the East to track their ceremonies and the celebration of Easter, especially, and Christmas, using the Julian calendar, because that was part of the division that took place in the church back in the days when these reforms were enacted. That the Orthodox followers were not really happy with the Gregorian reform, and for whatever reason, they keep using the Julian calendar, that is today 13 days off the Gregorian. But these are just markers in time, markers of a larger process that has no timeline in the Gregorian dates whatsoever. That is a larger tapestry, and it refers to the cycle of evolution called the biosphere-noosphere transition timeline, which is basically the transition from the unconscious Earth to the conscious Earth, from us recognizing as part of a larger organism called the Earth, and not separated from it. So since we are these antennas that are, or the recipients of these cosmic frequencies, well, time is informing our biology, and we are an expression of that. We already make emphasis every episode that what we are tracking here is basically the cycle of human fertility and the cycle of human gestation. We can call them the Mayan, the Galactic Maya codes, but it's really we're tracking the movement and the evolution of biology, our biology, and we are time incorporated. That's what Jose used to say, that we are the living embodiment of time. We have the 13 joints in our bodies and the 20 fingers and toes. So we are a perfect match for the frequency of the Soul King. We spend 260 days in the womb. We have 33 vertebrae in our body, which is the addition of the 13 plus the 20. So our body is basically tuning to these frequencies, is embedded in it.
28
And
phalanges. You got
the
your
28
28 flexor
phalanges.
points in both hands all together. Yeah, it's amazing. It's all
So
there. It's
it's all there.
biologically sound, and it can be embodied. We're all embodying divine timing. How
Yes.
wonderful is that? So you're
Yes.
always where you're supposed to be also. Go with the
Yes.
flow.
And there is no there has to be no difference or no need to go against each other because one calendar is right and the other is wrong, and this count starts here, and the indigenous people start their year in a different point. I honestly feel that after 2012 especially, it's time of unification and to really celebrate what we have in common, and that we share this frequency of 1320 in our bodies, in our biology, and that if we whatever system we use to track that is based on those numbers, it's going to reveal for each person the truth that they need to see in those aspects that they can appreciate and that they can really hold as a possibility to experience, based on the fact that these codes or the codes of time speak to each individual in a very particular way. They give us guidance and they orientation in our journey in a very specific ways, where there is no need for leaders or gurus or masters. The frequency is the guidance. No? Is tuning with the frequency of our bodies, is tuning to the frequency of our heart. So it's a really beautiful opportunity just to tune in to the beauty of the human body, the beauty of nature, and how we are woven into it. Time is, we are the temple of time.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. I want to take a moment to give a special shout out to our kin in the live chat, because folks are in there and they're sharing their signatures, or sharing their bioregional location according to the planet Holon. They are tapping in and sinking in with us indeed, and tuning up. And thank you so much for that. So as we've been explaining, today is very special because this is a day like today in 1987, when the discovery of supernova 1987A was made. And that discovery gave rise to the radiance and radiation of light knowledge and new codes and information coming into our consciousness as a planetary consciousness. And so here, for the past 37 years, we have been receiving, as a planetary species, in various levels of awareness, we've been receiving these impulses, these codes, this direction to shift and to evolve. And along with that, different people have tuned in and have been recipients and transmitters of a lot of the coordinates that have been gifted to us through consciousness itself. I'd like to think that that's what's been happening. And
Yes.
so here we are in the process and the phase shift together, because again, these things happen in larger windows. It's an evolutionary process. And that's why recognizing it's been spurred in many ways by this event 37 years ago is so significant, because it's profound. I mean, I guess that we could call it 1987 to now, we would say 38 years. So It's been 38 years since this event took place. And so here we are, making conscious. And I think, again, these tools serve to help course correct and allow us methods through which we can return to attunement with the codes of source, frankly, the creator of all the fabric that we enjoy. So, because a lot of the interference has occurred in the past, since the times of Babylon, as we've looked at earlier tonight, all the way on up to now. In fact, there have been many distortions, and yet the nature of nature is to evolve and grow. And that's why we've been, I think, at a point now as recipients of this knowledge and this clarity that's been coming through. And it brings us to this current year, the Blue Rhythmic Storm, as we like to just orient each moon to sort of where we are as we sink in and tune up. We identify where we are now in this 37th year since the new time was initiated on July 26, 1987. And we find ourselves in the galactic moon, which is the tone of integrity, the moon of integrity. And this is where I think also the reminder of the relationship between ourselves and the cosmos is part of that firming up and that returning to wholeness and balance in some ways. Integrity meaning how it really holds together, how strong a thing may be, how true it may be, the integrity that it holds. And so that's a part of why we're being reconfigured. We're being, I would say, fortunately, reconfigured is a great way of looking at it.
Yes.
And reminded,
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so as we just, again, tune in with where we are, we know that, again, with this system, time being fractal, there are several fractal overlays of meaning that provide a greater, more broad context to the transformation happening. And today in particular is interesting because it being 232, as we'll talk about in a moment, it's also in a year that is fractally coded the entire year by the yellow human, by Kin 92. So we have an amplification of free will. And one of the things about today is it's also the last day that the sun passes through Gene Key 55. No, we don't have any slides to present that, but just to let it be known that today is when Gene Key 55, that 6-day window, was completed. And Gene Key 55 is the only gene key out of the 64 gene keys where the gift and the city are the same. And in this case, it's the freedom amplification in that sense. And we know that today also being Kin 232 and the frequency of the spectral tone, it's the spectral tone of liberation. So again, we hear and see the echo of freedom. So what is upon us is there's a release process happening. It's happening to us. It's happening through us, both as above, so below, as within, so without. It's happening on a planetary scale as well as a personal scale. And so really the best thing to do right now is ride it. Don't fight it. And the idea is by fighting it, meaning don't necessarily resist your intuition. Trust intuition. Ride this transformative wave. Each of these wave spells are also very specific, whether it's a planetary service wave spell like the one we see on the screen now. We know this year is coded with a quality of the yellow human fractally. We know the year itself has the year bearer of the blue rhythmic storm. That also influences the entire year. And then we add the overlay to know that this catalytic change also is drawing in our free will. It's informed by our free will. So we're in direct connect, we could say. And we have a direct responsibility as well as a result. And on a day like today, where you're Kin 232 and a year informed by Kin 92, this frequency amplification is real. And we know that we've been speaking of it for several years in our work, but we're at a crossroads, or sort of a choice point. Well, that's never been more clear than now as well. And that choice is truly not to choose more fragmentation, but to move in a direction of coherence.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to move into flow and coherence. However that manifests for you, however that resonates within you, this is the time to trust that, because that is the urge of the cosmos, I believe, wanting to express itself and wanting to synchronize in a greater, more grand unity of sorts.
Yes.
And we see how these codes inform us, as we said before, the information. So we can literally get information. And what you see with our tools, they're color coded, they're infographic, they're beautiful. Take the time to study what you see, because then you will really start to move in the rhythm and the appreciation for these timing cycles, this time release encoded information that we've been so fortunate to encounter at this point on Earth. As we said, we're in the tone of integrity, the moon of integrity. And this moon is amplified fractally by Kin 99. Okay, so the blue galactic storm in this galactic moon.
Yes,
As we
this is the eighth stage of this cycle of the human that we started on July 26, 2024. And basically, it's like we mentioned on our last episode, is calling for the integrity in us, integrity of the human. Is because each of the kin that come after the magnetic tone or day one of each wave spell is in a function to that kin, is playing for that kin, is in that same mission, is that same path of or that energetic path, or that is, we can see the 20 wave spells as little stories, like songs. So each of those 13 moons is like a verse of each of the 13 moons, embodying each of the 13 moons. And the theme for this entire galactic moon is the blue galactic storm, which gives us also like that overlay, double overlay of a storm year, because the year started on a blue rhythmic storm day. That's why it's called the year of the blue rhythmic storm. The first day commands the entire year, but at the same time, this eighth moon is the eighth phase of a process that is also commanded by the human, like the signature today, like you mentioned before. So we have those double aspects of the energy on the moon and the year, and the kin of the day, and the kin that commands the entire planetary service wave spell of 13 months.
And as you mentioned at the top of the episode, today being episode 21, we know that 21 holds the eighth position in the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
And so again, there's a reflection, an echo of the power of 8, or that galactic quality, that frequency. Numbers hold frequency, and they are committed to that frequency, let's just say. And so they show up to represent that frequency in many, many ways, as today being the eighth position on this Fibonacci. I think that's phenomenal. And as we move through this moon, we're also recognizing all the heptads are coded as well. In other words, the 7-day cycles are also fractally coded with the one kin equals 260 frequency, basically, and that sort of fractal overlay that we look through. And if you want to learn more about this, we certainly encourage people to visit our website, theharmonicfactor.com, and download a copy of the 1328 synchronometer for the year, because we go into great explanation, as we've done in previous episodes as well, about the origin of the fractal layers, what they're oriented to, and sort of the start point. So it's not arbitrary, but it actually tracks along with the synchronic order and the aspects of it that have been intentionally released over time. And so there's a continuity in the work we're doing. We're just really here to keep the frequency range alive, essentially, and in part with all of our kin around the world who are doing the same thing and growing this frequency awareness to the planetary scale that it intends to be. It's already
Mm-hmm.
encoded. That's the beautiful thing. But this is also why today's energy and today's episode, rather, is really about making the unconscious conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a part of this effort in this sort of noospheric journey. But as you can see in the highlight here, we're in the third heptad. It's day 18 of this moon. And that the end of this moon, as you can see with the phi symbol, indicates the phi ratio, or the golden intersection of the 13 moon year. So this entire moon of integrity, each year, every moon of integrity is anchored with a golden ratio
Mm-hmm.
day between galactic moon day 28 and solar moon day 1. That is a point of just perfection, in a sense,
Mm-hmm.
beauty and harmony expressed as number. And so just to point that out, that's why you see that symbol in the calendar or in the synchronometer. And also, as Ruben has shared, and we share on every episode, it's important to note we're talking about two different orders here. You have the cyclic order and the synchronic order. In the cyclic order, there are 13 moons, 28 days each moon for that 364-day frequency, plus one that is related as the day out of time, a null day, no day at all on the calendar, a day of course correction, forgiveness, universal forgiveness, celebration of global peace through culture, and then the next day you begin the 13 moon year over in the next expression of it. And then in the synchronic order, this is the 1320 frequency, where you have 13 tones and 20 tribes, or 20 solar seals as they're referred to. And these form the gestation cycle, whereas the cyclic order is forming the fertility cycle that our human bodies follow. The gestation cycle is marked by this synchronic order. And it's in that, when we're born at our first breath, after journeying our Zolkin in the womb, we arrive with our first breath, and that is referred to then as the galactic signature on that being, on that soul, on that person just birthed, just born. And that is a marker of synchronization. That marker will always be with you, and it's part of how you're able to derive perspective on who you are and what you've shown up for as it relates to this tapestry of synchronicity. And so synchronicity is really something so beautiful, and it shows up when you're receptive to it. It amplifies and shows up. And so by tuning into your own galactic signature, it puts you in that frequency range to experience more and more synchronicity. And we encourage people to visit lawoftime.org. If you don't already know your galactic signature, visit lawoftime.org, and there you can decode your birth date, or you can decode any other date for that matter. That's one great tool at that website, where you can learn your galactic signature. And then it will help make more sense when you plug into a tool like the one we present you with. When you are oriented with your galactic signature, you'll have a point of reference for yourself as to how to navigate the fourth dimension, and that being time. And everything we're sharing here today is related to the synchronic order and the science of time, both time as timekeeping and calendars, and also time as resonance and time as evolution. So we trust and know that people are here for that. They're tapping into that frequency and that intention, as many of you in the chat, in fact, have been with you for several episodes of this journey. And we really, really deeply appreciate that. And we know that you are resonant beacons in your lives and among your communities, wherever you find yourself. And we know that this energy and information is getting out there where it needs to go. And we're so grateful for that. Here we can see the beautiful tapestry of the Zolkin count, the 260-day count. Highlighted in green is the wave spell we are currently navigating. And today we're on day 11 of this 13-day wave spell. And you'll also note that the 5 castles of the 260 days, where they're divided into 52-day packages, essentially, we're in the 5th of those 5 castles right now. And we're in the second wave spell of that, out of the 4 wave spells that comprise the 5th green castle of enchantment. And as Ruben was mentioning earlier, it's important to note that several significant events that have served to distort time have occurred within this window. And that's also where the opportunity lies for us to help course correct the distortions. And that's why working with a tool like the wave spell, for example, and we'll show you in a moment why it's so significant, because it is a tool to actually reverse errors, basically. It's a way to counterbalance and neutralize events that may have happened in your own life or in our collective experience. And when we apply it like that as a tool for harmonization, it's phenomenal. And it is an example of how this work essentially is entirely ceremonial, because you're doing that in a way to contribute to the greater good.
Yeah.
And what is a ceremony for, if not for that?
Yes.
And here we have
life is the ceremony, and like you mentioned, the artificial time, machine time, goes clockwise,
Yes.
from left to right, and as we can see here is a perfect example. Natural time goes counterclockwise. That's why it has that neutralizing quality of redeeming karmic imprints, because as we see here, on the right we see the red, which is really the east, and the white is the north, the blue is the west, the yellow is the south, and the green is the center, is the heart. So those four directions represents the form of time, and the fifth one is the alchemical conjunction of those four colors. And the reason it's tracked by the fractal of 52 days is because we have those 52 heptads, or cycles of 7 days, weeks, in one solar year. So there is a fractal quality that keeps the number 52 as the glue that holds the entire fabric of time together. And of course, in this array, we can see that spiral movement that is going counterclockwise, but to the center, because it's really moving upwards and inwards, and in all directions at the same time, because it puts us in radial consciousness, that we can connect events from the past, from the present, from the future, from this timeline, from alternative timelines, and make a coherent and solid narrative that is really part of a larger set of tapestries. So we have the weaving of 13 days, the weaving of 52 days, the weaving of 260 days, the weaving of 364 days plus 1 day out of time. And in those weavings, all these cycles are really dancing to a melody, and we are just tuning in to that melody as we move and we progress we live our daily lives.
Absolutely. Tuning in, literally.
Tuning in, and this is everything that we see is happening today. Like we mentioned before, is the 38 years of the supernova 1987A. Like I mentioned before, these 2 cycles of 19 years of the moon. We have the 443 years, not like on paper, but not in real time, because we know that those 443 years were technically complete in 10 days when we arrived to, I think, March 2nd or March 3rd. And today is kin 232. We are 232 days to the golden intersection. Another beautiful thing that showed up today. And the last one is something that you realize also, brother, the fact that the unified cosmic time is kin 160 today.
That's right.
So for those people who don't know, let's explain what is the UCT, or unified cosmic time.
Sure. So when we take the Maya vigesimal long count of any given day, so on a day such as today, if I reflect correctly, the Maya vigesimal is
It's
one.
40 is 44 days off. So
Correct. So is
basically
it
it must be
188?
88.
188
188.
today. So you add that with the galactic Maya kin of the day, which today is 232. So 188 plus 232 equals 420, if I'm not mistaken. Is that the sum, I think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
420 minus 260, which reduces to 160. Okay. And so that is the frequency of both counts combined, which is why it's called the unified cosmic time count. Now, you can do this with any day or any kin by, again, adding the numeral value of the traditional Maya long count and the galactic Maya long count, or galactic Maya kin of the day together, and reduce that to a number below 260. And again, today it's 160. That's very auspicious for us because, as those who've been following along with this know, on October 14th, 2025, 160 will be the kin of the traditional Maya or vigesimal long count that day, and 161 the following day, and that being an actual fractal of the golden intersection. So today we're having an echo essentially of that frequency that's showing us, in a sense, like everything is right on track. Right
Right on
on
track.
track. So from the unified cosmic time to the fact that today is the 21st episode, being position 8 in the galactic moon of integrity, and that tomorrow is the 13th position of the Fibonacci sequence. So a +1 leads us to that beautiful harmonic synchronization tomorrow to make conscious. We can see the weaving of this thread we're talking about. This thread is weaving us through and around and within this golden opportunity. And making this conscious is the true golden opportunity, because it's in consciousness that everything's created. So why not let our creation be golden,
Yeah.
in light of that, literally in that light.
Yeah, and it's beautiful that we have that energy of the spectral, yellow spectral human, and we have this spectrum of synchronicities all piling up on this day to really enhance and highlight that sense of liberation that is also in the background, filled by this Jinky 55 also pulsing in the field with the energy of liberation and freedom. So it's a really great opportunity to. We didn't plan for this, as we never do when we are going live. We barely know what is going to happen during these transmissions, but we come as best as prepared as we can, and with an open heart and an open mind to perceive with admiration and humbleness what is happening, because it is amazing. It is really for those who can recognize this beauty, these layers and layers and layers of harmony. Well, it's a blessing. It's a blessing, and we actually are aware that some of these layers may be complex for some people to grasp. Even to follow one count is difficult. So following the ancient Maya count and the galactic Maya count may be too much for some, but we are here just to show that the there is a dance taking place between these frequencies, and that we are woven into that dance, and that actually it's beautiful that the difference between the ancient Maya count and the Galactic Maya is right now 44 years, 44 days, because 44 is a fractal of the 440 years that we already passed of the Gregorian calendar. So we are in that range of the 4/4 in the Gregorian calendar. Today we are completing the 443 years, and on October 15 will be actually day one of year 444 of the Gregorian calendar. So all this is part of a revelation and the expression of today was this was coming very strong, that time is the movement of spirit expressed as a spiral, which is that dance of spirit, and how plants and pine cones and sunflowers, they all grow in that pattern of the golden ratio, and that is always connected to a spiral some way or another. Our DNA is that same spiral that is woven, and that at the quantum level is indistinguishable from everything. It's just one big spiral within another, within another, within another, within another. The solar system is also like a spiral system that we tend to perceive as flat, but it's really, the planets are traveling in a spiral fashion.
Everything.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this. That's the golden thread. That's just how it forms. It's the pattern it follows. And we're making that conscious, that it weaves through all of creation and across all timelines, even in spite of those timelines. That's the other part. That there is, it seems, at some level, like a fail-safe, or some, even if it's allowed to go for centuries on end unchecked, it seems that we're in the time now where things are being summed up. In the reconciliation, what you do is you sum up the amount, you count it up, and then you bring the balance sheet.
Yes.
So this is what we're going to share with you in this next segment. I would like to consider part of how we've identified a balance sheet of sorts to really help us navigate this time science, and to even have identified this discovery of the golden intersection of timelines to begin with. And so with that, I think we'll go ahead and jump into the next section. And again, I want to say thank you to everybody being here and staying tuned and staying along for the ride with us. Thanks for all the energy in the live chat. We know it's a long one tonight, but it is certainly worth our time to be here with you. And we give great thanks for that. So, as some of you may know, recently we published the special report, Harmonic Entrance to the Golden Intersection of Timelines, on our Medium blog at the Harmonic Factor. If you go to medium.com/at the Harmonic Factor, you'll find this article. And in fact, we'll put the link in the chat for folks as well. And we invite you to look at our description notes as well if you want to follow along with the actual Medium article, because we thought it was important at this point to, again, put this on the record and give people a glimpse into how we even arrived at these calculations or this observation. As Ruben mentioned, it was, I want to say how many Zolkins ago that would be then, but 239 coming up next episode.
Yeah.
I don't know, just off the top, 7 years. What is that? Maybe 9 Zolkins?
Probably.
Something like that. But I guess so. Coming up
Yeah.
on as of
But
239, it will be 9 or 10 Zolkins. We'll have to look into that.
yes.
But just to let it be known that it's been a long time coming, and Ruben has obviously been deeply investigating these things and creating these layered tools to help to make sense of all of this information that we've both been exposed to, and certainly that he's been championing in terms of, again, sense making. And so with that, this article is a manifestation of many years of observation, of time tracking, of calculating, of observing, of cross comparing, of really gathering a greater sense of the harmony at play, because it's here and it's weaving within and through each one of us. To the degree that we're conscious of it, also is the degree through which it can express through us. And so that's why making conscious at this point is so critical, because we're in a window of golden opportunity. This entire 260-day hologram is very, very potent. As we can see, a lot of things are amplifying. So we offer this information and this insight as a way to supplement your own processes, that you can derive greater harmony both within yourself and without in your own experience of the hologram in its evolution. Because
Yes.
a lot of experiences could be had right now, but we certainly wish greater harmony and well-being for people. We want to put
Yeah.
that energy out there, because there's a lot of the contrary energy, at the wheel, it might seem right now, though we are trusting that this is all a part of that summation process, the balancing process.
Yes. Yes. And just let people know that we really put a lot of thought and heart in this article, because we know that since it has so many layers of information that people may get confused. So we really did our best to bring it down to its most essential components. We defined basically the importance of entering to that frequency of the number 13, as we close on December 21st, 12 years of closing or transcending that event horizon of 2012, December 21st, and what it means to vibrate or pulse in the frequency of 13, because since December 22nd, 2024, we entered that 13th orbit, that last stage or that last step of the spiral, of the 13 spiral, 13-step spiral staircase, that is reaching this crescendo, and that it's at the same time accompanied by many parallel crises on Earth. So it really puts us in contemplation mode. And since the moment that this date was defined or revealed 7 years ago, or maybe 10 Solkins ago, to the next episode, we will have that precise interval in the next episode. But since that day, we intuit that as we were moving towards that marker, we will experience more and more important events on Earth that will signal the closeness of this portal, and of course the exponential growth of AI, which is presented here as the seventh, or the let's say the catalyzing agent of these multiple crises, because they are different aspects of our entire existence that are in that state. We also have harmonic principles that are holding in place a net, a safety net, so to speak, or harmonic net for us to navigate within the chaos and the disorder of the third dimension. And if we put attention on those main components, maybe not on the technicalities and the data, we will find more the feel what is the golden intersection in the body, and why it's so unique, and why we should really make a little effort to connect to what it is, more than the data, more than the mathematical exactitude of the numbers, but really what that exactitude and that numerical beauty brings to our hearts and to our bodies, because this is certainly important that in order to appreciate the golden intersection, we live the natural time. We live in the natural time frequency, and be able to appreciate that timing frequency is also imbued and embedded with the same principles, mathematical principles like the golden proportion, as all many forms in many aspects of nature. Not everything is in a golden relationship to each other, but there are many aspects of the whole that are in golden relationship to each other. And if we put our attention on that harmonic principle, then that harmonic principle inform us, and we really attune to the beauty and the magnificence of what is transpiring at the moment.
Indeed we do. And so that's the invitation to really direct the focus and the attention you choose to keep right now, remembering that we're in an amplification of free will in a big way. I'd like to also point out a real quick synchronicity before we move into this article, and that being that we've identified next episode being Kin 239. It was Kin 239 that this recognition was revealed. And also our collaborators in this effort, Alejandra and Ishel, both combined to make 21, which is today's frequency of the episode. And when you add 21 and 239, what do you get? 260, the complete circuit. And so as a team, we all make 260 together, but I certainly wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge that, because again, numbers are points of resonance and providers of information.
Yes.
And so as a team, we make a complete Zolkin harmonic module circuit. And so thank you for allowing me to just mention that. I wanted to make that conscious.
Yes, no, and it's part of the, I think it's an invitation for people to explore in their own families or groups of friends, their energies, because that's one of the beauties of the system, is that you can add your kin number to a significant other, or with your children and your partner, and see what that energy is, and in that there is a hidden gem that will certainly be informing the entire family, and synchronicities will start to show up, because we already have experience, and in our own small circles, in our own families. The beauty of the synchronic order is that it reveals itself to anyone who has the heart and the eyes to see.
Indeed. I think the best way to enter this article, I put the link in the live chat for folks that want to follow along in real time. As Ruben said, this is a lot of data. There's a lot of information. The most important thing right now, though, is to tap into the resonance. How does it resonate with you? How does it actually make you feel? Now, obviously, for some, data and information can be overloading. It make you feel fatigued and tired. So I can appreciate that. Ideally, though, this information, when taken in with the right, perhaps, velocity, not overloading yourself, but taking your time with it to appreciate it piece by piece, because there are multiple pieces here that are coming together to create a beautiful tapestry, a beautiful work of art almost. So just to give perspective, we are 13 years from 2012. And as we've talked about on our podcast, and people know the work of the harmonic factor, 13 is a very significant number. It's the number of the divine feminine. It's the number of the frequency of the 7 position holder of the Fibonacci sequence. It holds many, many expressions as to its magnitude and its importance. We now know also that the duration of days that have drifted between the Gregorian count and the Julian count is now 13 days. Where 10 days were removed, now the distance is 13 if we're calculating it currently. So even that distinction has somehow summed up to the harmonic factor. What we're noticing in this work is that everything is getting informed and everything is moving to a higher harmony, whether it wants to or not. And that's an effect we see, because the resistance to harmony we see as chaos. We see as disintegration. We see as entropy. We've talked about that in a myriad of episodes over the years, that we're shifting from harm to harmony. That's the shift. And when we provided the 13 upgrades, for example, it was to illustrate the dynamic shift and the shift from harm to harmony that we are invited to make, that we would want to consider making. And now the beautiful thing is, in this 13 years past the great threshold of December 21st, 2012, here we are in this powerful moment. And if I'm not mistaken, the kin number that day, December 21st, 2012, 207, right?
Yes.
And that means that was wrapping up that yellow castle, right?
Yes.
Of the castle of, what's the quality of it? The castle of
probably ripening.
ripening. Okay. And then we know the next day we would enter this 52-day cycle. So even right there in that instant, in that threshold, we enter that castle on December 22nd.
Yes.
So just pay attention to what's happening here. Now we're in that green castle of enchantment in the 13th year since crossing that threshold point. So by the time we get to December 21st, 2025 and complete that 13 years, we're going to be in a completely different world.
Yeah.
And it's not a world to be afraid of, because you don't want to meet it with fear. You want to meet it with resonance. You want to meet it with clarity. You want to also meet it with a level of neutrality, because you don't want to give to emphasizing that which you don't want. You want to send that love so that everything is lifted higher. And that's one of the reasons to make these codes conscious. We can't stress it enough. Making the unconscious conscious, because you're in a window unlike any Earth's evolution has ever known. We've never been in this moment before. And that's exciting, as well as maybe terrifying, perhaps, for some, because it's uncharted territory, largely. Even as we can see the echoes across these timelines and cycles, we're in something completely new. And it's also being accelerated in tandem, parallel with AI. And we've observed that in this podcast, as we prepare for the golden intersection of timelines. Our wish in this exercise, in this ceremony, is that we tend towards a greater unity versus further disintegration, further fragmentation. You know, there's one thing to be a fractal, it's another thing to be fragmented.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even in that, though, we can see the thread that connects it all. Okay. So we have to say on some level, nothing is broken either, you know, and it may not appear that way unless and until we surrender to the very subtle golden thread that appears to be woven through all of these incidents, all of these large events, all of our lives. Even your own life, and we'll go more deeply into this in a future episode, even your own life has its golden intersection, meaning when you take the count of 16,180 days from the day you were born, that is literally your get phi, your golden intersection of timelines, your phi ratio day, based on the fractal numerical significance of 1.61803. So 16,180 days is how you personally identify your own golden intersection of your lifetime. And it shows up at 44 years and about 3 months. And we know that we're in the 443rd year of the Gregorian calendar this year. Because again, these fractals just sort of step down like that. But it's a beautiful thing to make this conscious in our lifetimes. So Ishel, for example, her galactic signature is kin 16. She's currently in her kin 216 year, galactic warrior. And she's also entering her golden intersection timeline year this year, that she's now in her 44th year. And as she reaches a date, I would say in the month of May, I'm not quite sure the exact date, and maybe she'll pop it in the chat here. But just to say that this is a very significant marker that we have the pleasure of observing in real time for one of our own team members who's experiencing this directly. And as they say, when one of us are healed, all of us are healed. There's only one of us here. So as we're making conscious this transformative process that's underway to us and through us, we get a chance to really tap into the subtle phenomena of it all. It's happening within us and to us, as I said, right before our very eyes, among one of our very own. And here she said, May 28th, 2025 on kin 65. So she shows up in that frequency. You know, you know, there's a lot of significance even to those numbers. We could go deeper, but just suffice it to say, look in your own life. If you're like me and you're older than 44 and you're discovering this information just now, you get to look back on your timeline and say, where was I at age 44 and 3 months? What was going on during the golden intersection of my timeline? It's phenomenal what is revealed. I was traveling in India, you know, of all places. You know, I mean, just phenomenal when I reflect back on where I was, what I was doing at that time. It's perfection. That's why even in Arguelles' departure from this life, he said, everything is perfect. I feel like he saw the perfection, in a sense, as a time traveler himself. He saw the future perfection timeline. He saw that outcome. He saw that potential. So
and especially
exactly, get
the fact that we can witness in real time these revelations taking place. It's like nature revealing herself really in these markers, because that's how this entire discovery started. Noticing we were just doing a special for the Gregorian calendar, and I was doing calculations of how many years have elapsed from one date to the other. Especially during that year, I was really measuring the time from the Julian reform to the day that we were doing the transmission, which was October 4th, 2018. That happens to be kin to 39. and things started to align in such a masterful and magical way that the only thing that I was able to do is just to pay attention in awe of what was being revealed, because the numbers were really showing their beauty, and that was the first time that we made conscious that 443 years is exactly one container for the golden number in days. So it doesn't matter if you are using the Gregorian calendar or the Mayan calendar or the Islamic calendar or the Chinese calendar. It doesn't really matter. It's the amount of days and nights elapsed from in 443 solar orbits, including the leap days. So the from that big revelation is where we started, and now that the time is coming to a close, we decided just to put it into today's context. That's why we have here in the article the seven systemic crises that are taking place, just to acknowledge that all this is happening in this harmonic convergence of cycles is taking place as we are witnessing the probably most chaotic time on earth, with so much transformation, so much uncertainty, so much volatility.
The multi-crisis. And so we track here, what, 7 different examples: the ecological crisis, a humanitarian crisis, a moral crisis, a geopolitical crisis, an exopolitics crisis, a collective identity crisis, and a consciousness crisis. Profound.
Yeah, and that consciousness crisis is what we have been, and we examined in our last episode. The presence of artificial intelligence is certainly giving a whole entire flavor to this transition, because it's a reflection of us. We are seeing ourselves in the mirror of our digital creations, and of course, with all the positive and negative aspects of this technological development, it's here. It's part of our everyday life. It's an invitation to integrate as best as we can the current reality, and without giving our power away to it. So that's the delicate aspect of this transition, is that we have such powerful technology today at our fingertips, and also our body is such a powerful technology that we barely get how powerful it is, and how powerful our thoughts are, and how powerful our consciousness is to create these collective realities. That's why the call is has been really to pay attention to those aspects behind this moment that are bringing us together, not apart. And certainly the golden ratio and this mathematical principle, it's embedded in the fabric of nature, just to bring harmony. Where there's this harmony, the golden ratio, it's adding this layer of beauty, of proportion, of sacred relationship between the parts. And if we really appreciate this principle that is present from the macro to the micro, and in within and without our daily lives, then it starts to pulse us, and it really starts to guide our actions and our thoughts and our energy towards greater harmony, because we recognize ourselves as a little but key part of the whole. We are highlighting this moon of integrity as an opportunity really to become whole, to integrate those aspects of the duality and the polarity and the distinction between what we consider wrong or right, and more like an interplay of shadow and light that creates the beauty of all the shapes and forms that we see on the planet. And this sacred principle was identified by John Major Jenkins around 1992 in his book Solkin, Calendar Studies and Visionary Perspectives, I think is the name. I have the source, and many of on the website is the source to the original source, in which he discovered that the harmony behind the calendrical system defined or devised by the Maya was the golden proportion. It's the basic harmonic principle that is operating behind these sacred counts. And that harmonic principle is represented by that number that we see on screen, 1.61803, 3 to the infinite, because it's an irrational number like pi. These are numbers that have no end, like creation. It just go to the infinite, because the process of creation and regeneration, it doesn't end. It just keeps evolving and spiraling up through time. So what this overlay of measuring the golden ratio in time, which is really the difference or our contribution to the entire system of the law of time, is just adding a filter or an overlay to measure larger spirals, to really apply the same harmonic principles of the Fibonacci spiral in space to the structure of the wave spell or the 13 stages of any cycle on this system, that is allowing us to identify and correlate these points of these harmonic nodes of resonance as special moments in time to tune in, to really go inside, to really let the noise dissolve and enter a larger tapestry that is alive, that is pulsing us, that is informing us since before birth, and that is transpiring through the entire fabric of creation. And that same principle that Jose Arguelles named the principle of same similarity, and so it's what really is the what we call the harmonic factor is that common denominator, and we are all really informed by that mathematical ratio. So we are part of that harmony, that melody, or that work of art that is creation, and that is playing through us and all around us. So we identified in the process of this golden opportunity 3 major pillars or harmonic factors that make this unique, and then we will go over, maybe I don't know if on this episode or next one, depending on how you feel, but the idea is that we identify one, that this is a once in a lifetime event. This is important to acknowledge. It will not repeat, because we will not have again the possibility to make conscious these 443 years of an erroneous timing system with such contrast as the golden ratio brings. And the fact that it's aligning with the cycles of natural time measured by the ancient Maya and the Galactic Maya adds this other layer of harmony, which is what we mention as a spiral vortex of harmony. It's defined here, which is basically the opportunity to see the golden ratio informing different aspects of time as separate and as opposite as the Gregorian calendar and the ancient Maya long count, and bring them together for once in a lifetime.
Yeah, for the purpose of unity. Because again, not to fragment us any further. We don't want to fragment any further. We need to unify, because ultimately there's only one of us here. That's the point we're making, and we're witnessing how mathematically that's supported. Even if the timelines may appear distorted and may appear, as you said, a variance of dark or light, it's all one ultimately. And that's a part of this initiation process, the ceremonial process of uniting the opposites. And those who may figure they have contrast with each other, when in fact we're all really saying the same thing, speaking different languages.
Yeah. And the way that we have framed it, because there is a triangulation of dates, is that to make it easy for the mind to grasp, there is a count of days that comes from the ancient people from the past. These ancient people were the Maya. This is the long count. There is a present system that we are using, that is the Gregorian calendar. And there is the time of the future, which is the Galactic Maya count. This information basically came from the future, so that we can bridge that gap between past, present, and future, and create one perfect ending and a new beginning, so that we can really reconcile those opposites or those apparent aspects of times that are fragmented, like the past, the present, the future, that in reality the past and the future, they don't exist. It only exists now. But this now is just now in the second, because 2 minutes ago or 1 minute ago, even 1 second ago, is not now. So this is the way that we make, or they bridge the gap, is to really bring that element from our ancient ancestors, and bring the element of these codes that come from the stars and our future selves, and with our present expression of reality. If we have the capacity to appreciate the harmony in things, then we will witness more harmony. We will even see harmony where there is disharmony, and our capacity to transmute that disharmony gets enhanced as we train our own mind to perceive that harmony behind the disharmony, which is what we have been trained to do for the last years, and that we strive to do every 7 days here in this sacred space, just to let go of all the stories that we hear playing in the mainstream media, and all the dooms day scenarios and really reframe it again and again and again and again to reach these higher levels of comprehension and now to really acquire a larger capacity to process all the shifts that are taking place and within a harmonic framework, with tools that are allowing us to neutralize all that chaotic energy into something greater, into something more elevated.
Indeed. So let's move through these a little bit here because I know we're over 2 hours at this point. So
Yes.
Space and Alignment in 2012 gives us a sense of what things looked like December 21st, 2012, when our solar system was in direct alignment with galactic center. And that also signaled the completion of the 13th Baktun, the completion of the 13th cycle of 144,000 days, as Ruben was indicating earlier, and that the very next day began a new Baktun cycle and a new calendar, a new great cycle, essentially. And that we will have, as of October 14th, completed 13 tunes of this new cycle. And that's one of the significant markers astrologically and astronomically speaking, more specifically astronomically speaking, because of where we are in the process of being in proximity with galactic center and being 13 tunes from that. That's a beautiful resonance, a harmonic resonance window of, I want to say, 4,680 days exactly in that
Yeah.
window. So that's what we're actually moving toward in this process, such that we'll see, and here you can see on the screen that this image capture is, again, of our sun in its alignment with galactic center on December 21st, 2012 at 11:11:11 precisely. So that just gives you a sense, and you can refer to the article there. And the picture was also referenced from Edsna, Yucatan, as the point of origin for that particular framing or that image. As you can see, our solstice sun aligned with the heart of the Milky Way galaxy on December 21st, 2012 for a how? 160. A day much like today's unified cosmic time, 160.
Yes. And this is I think this graphic is from Graham Hancock, which shows the movement of our sun through galactic center. So this 3,000 years ago, well, 5,000, around 5,125 years ago, we were very far from galactic center, but our solar system has been positioning to that area of the galaxy. Let's remember that from our position on Earth, we perceive, we can point our eyes towards galactic center or anti-galactic center. When we see towards the constellation of Scorpion Sagittarius, we are actually looking towards galactic center and an area called the Dark Rift, which is sort of the cosmic yoni, or the womb of the galaxy. And when we see towards Orion, we are seeing to the outskirts of the galaxy. So we are positioning one of the spiral lamps of our galaxy. And when we tune into galactic center, we are really looking to the heart of the galaxy. And when we are placing our sights in the constellation of Orion and that vicinity, we are really looking towards the other side, or the other front of our 360 view scenario, which is this galaxy. And And the fact that the galactic center is also recognized as Hunapku, the consciousness that inhabits galactic center, is this deity or energy that was called Hunapku, the one giver of movement and measure. When movement is time and measure is space. So in 2012, we were aligning in space, and now we are aligning in time. This is the fourth point of 2025. So 13 years after a space alignment, we are witnessing a time alignment of unprecedented proportions. And that's what those four aspects, the fact that it's not going to repeat again, the fact that it's a spiral vortex of energy because of the three aspects of the golden ratio coordinated by these three calendrical systems, and by the fact that we experience a major alignment with the galaxy on December 21st, 2012, and that alignment, that's the fourth point, is reaching a new threshold of harmony in time, not in space. It's space is an important component because it set the ground for this alignment, like this planetary parade that we are just closing is synchronized 260 days before the actual alignment through the fabric of time. But since time is the fourth dimension, time is of the mind. So this alignment has we have to train ourselves to perceive it through our minds so that it can really we can really feel into it. How unique and how lucky we are to witness such a moment in which the universe is playing a melody and is reaching like a climax of because these numbers, they appear in all artistic compositions. Also the golden proportion is the probably the point where the maximum harmony is expressed. Is that juncture point in which it's like we mentioned the other day, is like a sweet spot that is like the zone of flow, the zone of harmony, the zone of beauty, and that's where what we are tuning in, that frequency that is permeating all creation and that is pulsing in the background as we move in time. So that day we will have those 2 days, October 14, 15, 2025, we will experience 7 unique synchronizations, being the main one the fact that is the 443 years of the Gregorian calendar is the equivalent of the golden ratio number in days, and that really creates a holographic container for that system that is allowing us to give it to give thanks and move to the next stage of evolution, because this is certainly the Gregorian calendar has created a lot of friction and fractures through the fabric of time and through our consciousness. Our perceptions of time are fragmented also. So because the calendar is reflection of that fragmentation. So the second aspect is that the ancient Maya long count is going to synchronize with this marker 13.0.13.0.0, where the second 13 refers to cycles of 360 days. So basically, on October 14, 2025, we will complete 13 back tunes of 144,000 days each, plus 13 cycles of 360 days each. Let's remember that 360 is 1/4 of 1,440. So every 4 cycles of 360, we have another fractal of the 144, but in a smaller scale. And that's how really the long count is informing us about these harmonic frequencies at a fractal scale. So when we really let go of our fear to learn something new, like the long count, which many people don't really go there because they think that the mathematics are complex. It may feel at the beginning while our brains and our minds get used to it, but once you start to really integrate its mathematical logic and beauty, it just becomes another layer or another filter of harmony through which we can appreciate time as music or as a musical composition and perceive those moments of peak harmony. The third aspect or the third synchronization that is taking place is the fact that on the 260-day sacred calendar is going to be the same day as December 21st, 2012, which is this day for a how that we, on the Galactic Maya count, we name it the King 160, the yellow self-existing sun, but that in the ancient Maya, for the ancient Maya, is called for Ahau or for Ahpu, if for the people from the Maya Quiche culture. But it doesn't matter how we name it. It's just a frequency, or it holds a point within the 260-day cycle that is the golden section of that cycle of gestation. So we have completed 8 cycles of 20 days, which the cycles of 20 days are harmonic, called harmonic runs, and from Kin to 160, we have another 5 cycles of 20 days, and those 2 sections, the 160 and the 100, is what gives the totality of the 260. So the number, that totality of the 1320 matrix divided by 5 is 160. That's what John Major Jenkins discovered back in 1992, and that we decided to highlight and rescue from that to apply it to fractal measurements. Not only the day cycles, but the Katun cycles. So if we see on the fourth aspect of the synchronization, the fact that it's going to be the same day as December 21st, 2012, it is only because of the mathematics behind it. It's because 13 cycles of 360 days, they contain this exact same amount of days than 18 cycles of 260 days. So in other words, the tune and the tune count and the sulking count, the 260-day count and the 360-day count synchronize in that day. And that day, for a how, happens to be not only the golden section of the 1320 matrix, but also the day keeper, the day marker for the start and the beginning of the long count. It was also on a day for a how in 3113 BC when the 13 Bactun count started, and it was on a day for a how that it ended on December 21st, 2012. The start is rooted on August 13, 3113 BC for a how. But that means that frequency of 4-ha, which happens to be the golden ratio, connects us to the beginning and the end of that hologram that Jose Arguelles named as the harmonic module or the harmonic wave of history. Those 13 Bactuns or 260 Katuns, 260 generations that are embedded into that period of 13 Bactuns is really what is called the cycle of human history. Before that is prehistory, after that is post-history. So we are basically now on the other side of history, on the early years of post-history, really recognizing the beauty of what took place in 2012 and the layers that we were not able probably to appreciate at the time, but that now we have the tools and the capacity to appreciate. And let's also make conscious that it was on Katun 4-ha, which is signaled here in green as the moment when the year 0 was established as the birth of Christ. And since then, this is why this is the year 2025, because it's the year 2025 from year 0. And year 0 happens to be connected, at least on the record, the historical record, as the birth of Christ. And that corresponded to Katun 160, or the last Katun of the 8th Bactun of the Maya long count, when this fracture or this 0 point was established. Even if it's arbitrary or not, it's part of the legacy that we inherited, and that's why we are using it as a reference point, because this is all about really connecting with different reference points in the fabric of time. And brother, do you want to continue a little bit with this cycle, why the 144 cycles of the return of sacred power is important?
Sure. Thank you. And indeed, it's obviously a lot of information for folks. And we invite you again to visit the medium.com at the Harmonic Factor blog post, because you'll find this article there, and you can certainly take your time and go through it. Obviously, it has a lot of infographics as well to support everything we're sharing with you. Item 5 out of the 7 synchronizations happening October 14th and 15th, 2025, includes the completion of a certain set of cycles. 31 of these 144-day cycles, in fact, will be completed on October 14th, 2025. This is a count that was initially started by Jose Arguelles back in October 22nd of 2010, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And that was basically tracking what he referred to as a galactic spiral density wave. that basically included two particular cycles being tracked. One was cycles of 113 days, and the other was cycles of 144 days. And the 144 days cycles in particular are referred to as the return of sacred power cycles. So they were marking essentially a stepping up of this increase in spiritual energy, re-spiritualizing the material. So we are navigating this together, and it's very important to note that we complete 31 of these 144-day cycles on October 14th, and we begin a new 144-day cycle, the 32nd of them, on October 15th. And so that adds another layer of the power, because we also know the 144 is a fractal of the Baktun cycle. As we said, the 144,000 days in a Baktun cycle. When you look at the 144-day cycles, they're a fractal of that much larger cycle. Again, time being fractal. And we invite folks to check out the graphics here, because it's the illustration of those particular cycles, the Lord of the Dawn cycles and the Return of Sacred Power cycles. And again, this graphic is very informative. The print is obviously too small to see on screen, so we certainly invite you to access the article so you can take the time and read all of the detail to really get a better sense of why this cycle is included, why it's important. As I said, this count holds the fractal power of the 144,000-day Baktun count. Number 144 is the only squared number within the Fibonacci spiral progression, 144 equaling 12 times 12, okay? 12 squared.
Yeah.
And
harmonic 144 is also connected to the speed of light. If I'm, according to a mathematician called Bruce Cartier, he mapped the Earth grid and observed that the most intelligent way to map third-dimensional spheres is in base 60, like the 60 minutes. And using that system, he arrived through calculations that using as our yardstick of measurement, it turns out that the speed of light in free space, in geometric terms, has an angular velocity of 144,000 minutes of arc per grid second. In harmonics, we drop all zeros and all decimal points and simplify 144,000 to harmonic 144. So that's a key aspect of this, because it is really that frequency of light that is amplifying with these cycles of the return of sacred power, and that is spiritualizing matter. Is that light is what is permeating all layers of, or the density of the material, to bring light into it, to bring a new awareness, which is light also.
And as of October 15th, 2024, we notably entered the solar maximum. So that increase in light coming in is reflected in the fact that we're in the solar maximum cycle now. And also, when you look at the basic numbers, 1 + 4 + 4 is 9, the solar tone. So there's a lot of correlation there that can be observed as well regarding the significance of these frequencies, these factors. Number 6 is the principle of synchronizing with peace through art, as with the Galactic Maya Zolkin, and each day reflecting qualities and characteristics as well as personalities. A beautiful synchronization on October 14 is that it bears the galactic signature of yellow solar seed, and that being the 212th galactic return of Nicholas Roerich, the Russian artist, writer, and mystic, who, along with Helena, his wife, brought the world the banner of peace and the Roerich Peace Pact. And that infusion of quality of spiritual coherence is so significant throughout this entire thread, relative to the concept or the consciousness that time is art. That we're shifting from the paradigm of time as money, returning and restoring the quality and the paradigm of time as art. And again, with that being Nicholas Rorick's galactic signature, the 212th galactic return of his galactic signature, it's a beautiful synchronization that we're beholding there as well.
Yeah, and it's only happening because of the difference in how the ancient Maya and the galactic Maya reconcile the leap day. So since every February 29th, the galactic Maya count stops and the ancient Maya count keeps going, every 4 years the two counts are one kin closer. And the amount of leap years in between 2012 and 2025 is 3. It was 2016, 2020, and 2024. So those 3 days of difference is what creates that difference between the December 21st, 2012 being kin 207 and the completion of this marker of 13 tunes, which happens to be 18 Solkins. Again, 13 cycles of 360 days is 18 cycles of 260 days. That's why. That's the reason why in the long count or the ancient Maya count, it is a day for a how, and not on the galactic Maya count. It's not crystal hand, but it's still in that vicinity, still that in that resonance. But it's just that it holds a difference because of the leap day, part of the Gregorian calendar reform, the inclusion of the leap day rule. So the banner of peace that was created by Nicholas Roy, he's an excellent, beautiful expression also of the Trinity of past, present, and future. So we really invite everyone to become familiar with the symbol, to create their own banners, to paint them, to paint their T-shirts, and to celebrate peace through culture on that day by waving the banner of peace, because this is certainly an opportunity very similar to the celebration of the art of time. This is how we interpret this synchronicity of the signature of Nicholas Rory commanding this important alignment, and the fact that the solar seed is guided by the solar sun, which happens to be also one of the golden sections of the 260-day matrix. So the last aspect of, or the seventh synchronicity, which is the crown of the entire tapestry, is the cosmic unification of time. That's what we are aspiring to unify ourselves, in time through time on time. That's why it's so important to make sure that we get the dates right, because these are mathematical frequencies that are playing in the background, and that only using the Gregorian calendar as reference will certainly not be probably enough to perceive the beauty of it. So the more we get familiar with natural time, the more we get familiar with the vigesimal system, the more we can really tap into the significance of what it means to have as unification of these two aspects of the Maya timekeeping systems, the ancient Maya and the galactic Maya, as one unit of time. So the UCT, Universal Cosmic Time, refers to the order of time that is established every day when we add the galactic signature or the king of the day with the day keeper and the tone or the number connected to that day keeper in the ancient Maya long count. For that day, if we add 4 Ahau, which is the equivalent of King 160 for Sun, to 204, we get 364. And 364 is basically the numbers of days contained in one cycle of 13 moons of 28 days each, 364. And when we subtract 260 from those 364, we get this Kin 104 frequency, which would be the equivalent of 13 Kan. That's the name of the seed in the ancient Maya tongue, at least in Yucatan and in Chiapas. And that frequency of 104 has not only that connecting link between the 13 months of 28 days, which is the fertility cycle, and the 260 days, which is the gestation cycle, but it also has layers of resonance. One of them being the one, let's say that if we go to the micro to the macro, the micro would be those 104 days, but the macro will be the fact that on December 21st, 2012, as we can read at the end of the article, we completed 4 cycles of 26,000 years each. And each cycle of 26,000 years is almost 65 bactons. So let's put that into perspective that on December 21st, 2012, we did not only closed a cycle of 5,125 years, we closed 4 precessional cycles that came before that. That's why this is the fifth, what Jose called the fifth age, or the age of the center, because we are entering that green castle, so to speak, a fractal castle of which is the fifth cycle of 26,000 years, that we are starting just in the first 13 years of a cycle of 26,000 years. So the sky is the limit to what can happen in the next years. But we certainly feel that because this is also a number that is associated with the prophetic figure that brought this information to Earth, being that Pakal Botan, and Jose defining the consciousness of Pakal as a consciousness of 104,000 years of memory, because that's what this avatar was bringing to, or leaving as a legacy here on Earth. It's the map of 104,000 years that is given to us as a tool to make an absolute connection to who we are, our point in evolution, our coordinates in time, from the larger picture to the day-to-day, to that fractal tapestry of 104 days to 104,000 years. And the importance of that number being also present in the Venus round, which is the cycle that it takes the star, the brightest star in the sky, called, or planet Venus, to return to as morning star on the same day on the 260-day count. So basically, it takes 104 years, or 2 cycles of 52 years, for Venus to rise as morning star on the same day on the 260-day count. That day is the day one Ahau, or one sun. So that was one of the most valuable aspects of the Mayan calendar that was lost, and that John Major Jenkins also embarked on the adventure of reconstructing the Venus cycle as part of the entire system, because let's say that we usually there is a lot of emphasis in the 52-year cycle, but not we don't know much about the Venus cycle of 104 years, the Venus round, because all this information got lost after that papal bull, and what came after that papal bull that we are redeeming today with these notes and these highlights of what the golden intersection is.
And we certainly encourage you to go visit the Medium article, medium.com, at the Harmonic Factor. It is the special bulletin, or special report rather, that you'll find right there when you go to the blog, and check that out, and certainly share the link with others. Take your time. It's obviously very dense. It's a lot of information. I know we speak of it with some fluidity, it seems. But it's taken obviously many years to even begin to get a basic comprehension of this. Though we understand this might again be way over many people's heads, but more importantly, it is about the feeling, the resonance that you carry with what's happening right now. Tapping in, really being present with what's happening. These tools are meant to give support and tools for sense making. And also to provide a sense of trajectory and direction. But in any case, we thank you, Ruben, certainly for sharing that expose. And again, I know it's a little challenging. There's a lot of information, lots of things to read. It's probably about a 25-minute read, all told. If you take the time to read it with the graphics, and you can obviously go back to it, read it multiple times. But we certainly encourage you to tune in with that and take your time. And again, for putting this on the record so everybody understands, the dates of the golden intersection of timelines are October 14th and 15th, 2025. Just to be clear. We want to make sure that that's clarified, and we will continue to make sure that we amplify those particular dates, because we want the coordinates to be exact, so that we can truly stay tuned in. Again, going back to the fact that one of the most important markers here that we've identified is the 13 tunes completed since December 21st, 2012, and that actually occurs on October 14th, 2025. That's the first, as well as one of the more significant markers, but it certainly enters us into resonance in this harmonic process.
Thank you for making that note, because we forgot to mention that that's the reason it's 2 days. It's the October 15, day one of the 444 years of the Gregorian calendar, or the day one of the 444th solar orbit would be a better way to say it. It's going to be the actual factual golden ratio number, is the closest approximation. And from that day on, October 16, 17, 18, we will be still in resonance, because we are really close to the golden ratio number, but we will be tuning out. Right now we are tuning into the harmony. And of course, I will adventure myself to say that transition from the completion of 13 tunes on October 14 2025 to the completion of the 13 solar orbits on December 21st, 2012, the actual factual solstice,
Yes.
will be a time of acceleration and discoveries and new opportunities for humanity, and things will keep emerging from the background to the surface, to make those unconscious layers conscious, and arrive to this point with a clear vision and clear mind and an open heart to receive the beauty and the harmony.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us this evening. It's been a long one. It's been a deeper dive into the mechanics a little bit about what is actually present during this golden intersection of timelines. We invite you to listen back to the broadcast, take some notes even, and also visit theharmoniccfactor.com/golden-intersection for more on the day's events for October 14th and 15th, 2025, as well as, certainly visit the Medium article, medium.com /at the Harmonic Factor. And again, you'll find that article right there at the top. Special report, entrance to the golden intersection of timelines. And Brother Ruben, I give great thanks for your presence and your continued commitment on this journey in service to humanity, to expanding the awareness and presence during this transformative window, unlike any we've experienced before.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you also for holding space and for co-piloting this container of harmony together, and giving thanks to everyone that can hold 2 hours 52 minutes of this information and still tune in. We really appreciate your presence and your capacity to hold space for this transformation to take place within and without ourselves. And give thanks also to all the people who keep subscribing, who keep donating, who keep downloading the almanac, who keep signing the petition, and making this more conscious every day. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you to all, also the indigenous people who have been holding space for this transformation to take place, and that keep in their counts and ceremonies and traditions alive this harmony, and the beauty of time, the sacredness of time. So thanks to them, because without their imprint and their contribution, we will not be doing this. And we recognize the value of what the ancient people and the elders, the indigenous people, still bring to the table, and we honor that contribution as best as we can. That's why we weave together these past, present, and future systems, so that timekeeping systems, so that we can really appreciate that it's all one. It's all really one big tapestry with many fibers and many colors and many layers, but it's one at the end of the day. So thanks to also Alejandra and Giselle for holding space with us and keeping us inspired, and always with our vision and our hearts in tune with nature and with love that is the force that transcends all layers of reality, the glue that holds us together.
Completely.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody out there on the live chat. Go ahead.
And of course, to baby Sirius, to the baby, that is an inspiration to watch him grow and become more and more a complete, genuine human being with all the grace and all the beauty that a child brings to the world.
Mm. Thank you for sure. Shout out to Ken42.
Yeah,
Little baby Sirius. Definitely encouraging people to visit our ongoing perpetual calendar referendum initiative 2028. That frequency will continue beyond the golden intersection of timelines, but wanted to put that up there for folks in this last closing moment, and also encourage anybody who doesn't have it to go visit the harmonicfactor.com. You can certainly scan the QR code on your screen and go right there from your device and download a copy of the 13 Moon 28-day harmonic synchronometer for the Blue Rhythmic Storm year. Okay? Thank you so much again to everybody out there tapping in with us this evening. And with that, we're going to sign off with a deep gratitude in our hearts for everything everybody's doing out there to make this transition and transformation all the more effective. All right? We love and appreciate you, each of you, and look forward to you for the next episode, which promises to be quite powerful, being that it's our shared galactic signature. And we're going to welcome our special guest, VJ Pathfinder, I'm happy to announce, will be tapping in with us, Kin 239, on a Kin 239. And we combine as Kin 239. And this work launched on a day of Kin 239, October 4th, 2018. Lots of layers, lots of synchronicities. More will be revealed. And we just give great thanks for everybody joining along with us on this journey. So with that, we wish you all the best in Lakesh.
Lakesh.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view. Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.